All right, so a short video here for you. This is a 2012 Santa Fe with a 3.5. We got a code for the intake runner performance. So if we actually look at the intake runner, this is the actuator. We've got some linkage that runs down and goes to the intake runner itself. You can probably see it in there, right there. There's actually a sensor down in here. It's hard to see it, but it sits down in here. So it actually goes off the front intake runner flap is kind of how the sensor is moved that way. So I'll show you what kind of happens with these. So you can see our intake runner flaps in there. You can see the flaps right in here. And I'll move this linkage. Try to. And you can see how that flap moves on the rear bank. The only problem is if I'm looking at the front bank, well, you can see the intake runner flap there. It's got the arrow on it. And I'm moving it, and it's not responding. So the intake manifold is actually broken in there. See if I can show both of these at the same time. So you can see one moving, rear bank's moving, front bank, nothing. The front bank is the one that has the position sensor on it. So when you have a code like that, check these intake runners, because the manifolds like to break. But let me get you the new one here, and I'll kind of show you how that sensor is positioned on there. So when you get that code, you can kind of understand how it's actually working there. Okay, so this is the manifold. This is a new aftermarket one. It's actually made by Dorman. You can see that's that linkage that moves the intake runners. And you can see in there, that's the front bank and that's the rear bank. So these both need to move at the same time. So what happens is there's a spot here. The sensor is not in here, but this is where the sensor actually bolts to. This is the position sensor. That goes off the front bank, and you can see as I operate that, that's what's going to change your position on the position sensor. So when you get a code like that, not necessarily the actuator that goes bad. More times than not, it's actually this manifold. So they have a tendency, like I said, Dorman came up with a replacement product here to solve that issue, I guess. We'll see how good it is. Yeah, we're gonna get this put in, get some codes cleared, and make sure everything is set right, and relearn that. You probably should do a relearn on that actuator, so we'll do that and go from there. So I got the old manifold out. It's right here. Like I said, this is the Dorman one. This is the aftermarket. I'm going to kind of show you a couple differences here. The way the flaps sit in here are a little bit different than the original equipment one. I'm going to kind of show you, if you look right in this direction right here, you can see there's that's where the linkage between the two flaps is. So there's a couple balls in there, ball mounts, and then it uses a little, you can see the other one right there. Get you in a little bit closer. You can see that's how they link the front and the rear bank together. So that's what's failed on the original equipment one, only they did it a little bit differently. If you look in here, you can't even see the linkage in this one. But if you flip it over, you can great. So right in this area, let me try and point to it here. It's kind of the same setup as the aftermarket one. Right in here, you can see I'm moving it and the linkage has come undone or broken in there or whatever. But you can't, yeah, the way this is made, you can't get to any of that. So it all sits up in here, runs through there. They assemble it and then put the two halves together or something. So if anyone thinks that they can fix one of these, I'm kind of doubting it. I think it's kind of just replace only kind of deal. I don't see how you're gonna get that hooked back up or find something to link those back together. So yeah, I'll show you the bottom of this one. This one looks actually a little bit different yet. So between the two, you can definitely tell there's a difference in the bottom there. Just how they're made, I guess. You can kind of see where the cutouts are for some of that linkage that connects the two there. So again, this is the original one. Like I said, this is a, let's get it straight for you here. Get that one straight. But yeah, I don't have the sensor switched over yet. It's still in the old one. So this is where the sensor actually sits. And like I said, this is the back bank, this is the front bank. So when you have that disconnect from the front and rear bank, then that sensor does not change position. And that's where you're getting your codes from. So we're gonna switch the sensor over, put it in the new one, see how this one works. Like I said, the design is a little bit different. Hopefully it works just fine and we don't have any codes or any issues like that. We will have to relearn the actuator, I'm sure, like I said, just to make sure everything's good there. It's looking for a certain position. I think it's like less than 7% or something like that difference. Because you do have carbon buildup in this intake. So over time, there's an allowable limit, but like if it's over 7%, I believe, then it starts setting a code for that too. So yeah, we'll just reset everything, make sure that that's good to go. But I'll switch over the sensor, get this put in, and see what happens. So got the intake put on it, all back together here. I forgot to mention that sensor wire actually comes up here and the connector's right here. So you can trace that down, that goes to the sensor down there. So that's another good way to test that sensor too. If you don't see any position movement there, obviously you can tell that's broke. So let's get into the control unit here. Engine. The relearn is going to be a special function. That's going to be VCM relearning. So it even says when the VCM motor or the intake manifold assembly is replaced, this function should be performed. So the ignition is on. Completed. Turn the ignition off for 10 seconds and back on. So if you don't have a sensor reading, that will actually fail that test. So you'll not be able to run that. It'll actually come up with a fault and say that I believe it says check the actuator or check the manifold actually. So, but yeah, I'm gonna clear the codes, take it for a drive, and this is another one done. Thank you for watching, and hopefully this helped you out. Please like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.